Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm back at you today with a new video, and I want to let you know that I will have another financial video going up next week. I do that every third week. Um, but today I was thinking about something, and I just wanted to put my thoughts out there. Last night I was going through my Twitter feed, and I saw a tweet from my old manager from Hollister. She's never on Twitter. In fact, that's what got me thinking about this. I haven't seen a tweet from her in a couple years, and when she first set up her Twitter and followed me, um, man, that was like 3, 4, 5 years ago. And I never really understood it because myself, as new apps come out, new websites become popular, I always just take part in it like everybody else does. Um, as technology moves forward, I just move forward too. And I thought it was weird because she was a few years younger than me, and she just like kind of checked out. She finally signed up for Twitter, couldn't figure out how to use it, just didn't really use social media, and I've never really understood that. Um, but I've seen a few people like that are young, but can't figure out how to use technology, can't figure out how to use social media. And it made me think of another thing too. Years ago, 10 or 20 years ago now, Jeff Foxworthy did this stand up where he said, like, your parents are riding along on the fashion train, and at some point they just say, no, this is as far as I'm going. And, they just get stuck in dressing in that era and never move forward. And those two things kind of go together, even though one's fashion, one's technology or social media. Um, I've been having this thought lately, and it's just kind of a quandary. But I feel like I'm getting old. And I thought about it and I thought, why do I feel like that? I'm 31. I'll turn 32 this year. And I can definitely see where you can see that's old. I mean, yeah, 30's old. But for me, I'm 4.5 years out of college. I don't feel like I'm 31. I don't live the lifestyle of a 31-year-old. I don't know if I ever will. And that's okay with me. I don't have any desire to really do that. But I still, until recently, have not felt that old. But let me tell you what started to make me feel old. And I'm wondering about it because I think this is the first generation of people that will start to feel old in this way. And I wonder what generations before us, how they started realizing they were old. Because for me, it's social media that makes me feel old. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. And we go back a few years. It started with what is technically social media, but like dating apps, like Tinder and Bumble. Although I don't know if Bumble was around then. I'm 31 now. When I was 28, I was living and working in a college town. And it was like something changed, like on Tinder overnight. I went from at 28 being, the handsome older guy that got 10 or 15 matches a day to the creepy old guy that got like one match a month. And I mean, I guess that can be easily explained that if you're an 18 to 22-year-old student, maybe your age range of what you're looking for on Tinder just goes up to 28. And that's how I explained it to myself, and maybe that's correct. But it was a radical shift that really took me aback. That I was older and then old. And I was not okay with how that made me feel. Because I definitely didn't feel like I was old. Now, in addition to that happening, more recently, within the last 2 years, I've seen something else happen with social media. Facebook's been around now for 13 years. I've had a Twitter for 7 years, although I didn't really use it much at the beginning. Snapchat's been around for, I don't know how long, but I've had it for like 3, 4 years, 5 maybe. And I I guess you use social media because your friends are on it. right? You interact with people on there. And what I've come to realize is that my friends, my acquaintances, coworkers, people I went to college with, are no longer using these things. I don't know if you remember about years ago when high school kids, parents, excuse me, started joining Facebook when before it was exclusively for college only, and everybody's like, oh, my parents are on here now, it's not cool. Well, that's true. And that's kind of true of these other things. Like, for example, Snapchat. Sorry, guys. My old boss, who's like 45, and his boss, who's like 50, Snapchat each other all day. Right? So, you know something's done for when the old people get on it. But on top of that, it's not just that. I feel like I'm not ready to get old. But I feel like my friends, my acquaintances, coworkers, the people that I would follow, talk to on social media, they're almost forcing me to get old. And let me explain. So, Twitter, well, everybody uses Facebook. Well, that's not even true, but there's always content on Facebook to see. Twitter and Snapchat, though, are different. I rarely actually talk to people or even post a story on Snapchat. Like rarely ever. Although I do watch the stories every day. And Twitter, I go through my feed, but I don't have hardly anybody that actually tweets anymore. And I mean, I'd like to be active on Twitter, Snapchat, but it's like, okay, well, everybody I know has gotten to the point where apparently they've just resigned to being old and no longer use these apps. And it's almost forcing me to be the old guy who no longer uses technology because I don't know anybody that uses it anymore. I can't communicate with people. And then the other thing is, too, you guys know my past. Like, I was in college until I was 27, and then I moved to a college town for work, moved back home for a few months, moved to another college town for work, and it's really only been the last 2 years that I've been in, like, the adult world and not living by a college campus. So, up until the last couple years, I have been pretty up to date on whatever app is popular. Like 2-3 years ago, it was Yik Yak and Unseen, which Yik Yak's pretty much dead. And I was trying to think of some more, but basically, you get turned on to those apps and you use them because your friends, acquaintances, neighbors, whatever, are using them. But then, at some point, you lose track of what the new apps being used are. And I found myself, like, reading, I still follow our college newspaper on Facebook, and they post stories, and that's how I hear about apps. And I'm like, I'm old. I should not be reading in a newspaper about an app. I should know about it way before that they know about it, right? And I feel like I'm being, like, I wasn't any of the one. I was the very last one, and I still haven't, to get to a point where, like, oh, I'm old, I don't use this stuff anymore. And I don't think I ever will get to that point. But I am the person who, because everyone else that I know basically has stopped using that stuff, I feel like I'm getting drugged behind that group, kicking and screaming, like forcing me to be an old person who doesn't know what's going on and doesn't know about technology or what's cool right now. And I also think that it's totally reversible. Like, I'm a member of a fraternity, and I've been a chapter advisor for a number of years. I stepped down to a lower position, but if I were to go back and be active with the fraternity, yeah, I'd have that moment where I'd be the old guy being like, hey, like, what are we using right now? But, yeah, I think once that I got into the circle again and was always around people, I think I would just like continuously, just like before, just word of mouth know about things. But that is just sort of my quandary and my observation. Um, I would be interested to hear if you guys feel old. Um, what made you start thinking you were old? Was it like a health issue? Was it just whatever your age is? What was it that made you feel that way? And I would like to hear. I know there's the older guy from Maryland that always comments on here. I'd like to hear your perspective. I'd actually like to hear anybody from the older generation's perspective. What was it that happened before social media that made you feel like you were starting to get old? Was it an event? Was it something that maybe I don't even think about? Um, what was it that made you think, "Holy crap, I'm old"? So, anyway, guys, I might do this from time to time where I just have an idea and I talk it out with you guys. Hopefully, you like it. Let me know with the thumbs up, thumbs down. If you thumbs down it a ton, I won't make a video like this again. Keep in mind, next week I will have a financial video up for you guys. And I'll be doing that every 3 weeks, as I said. And then also, if you guys would like to be a part of one of my videos, this might be a few months off, but I am thinking about having somebody come in and sort of doing a remote collab where you make a video, I make a video, we can kind of splice it together. But it's just an idea at this point. If you guys like my content and you want to follow me on my journey of life and paying off my student loans, feel free to subscribe. There is a link down below the video, also in the watermark on the corner of the video. I'd appreciate the subscribers. Also, if you want to get all of my content, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you get notified of everything. Otherwise, guys, I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe and watch out next week for a financial video.